Welcome again to the Actors Bow. This is Denise. I'm so excited that you're here because you're listening to the first episode of the Actors Bow of 2021. I hope you had an amazing holiday time, an amazing New Year's Eve. I just stayed home, cooked a lot of food, ate a lot, watched movies, shows. It was great. It was great to have a break. I have prepared a very special episode for you. But before we get to that, let me introduce to you the Sunday Spotlight of this week. This week's Sunday Spotlight is Michael Valdes. He's studying musical theater at EMDA in LA, but also he studied at EMDA New York. So he's gotten the best of both worlds. In his interview, he's going to be talking about pursuing his BFA in both New York and LA, some tips to get into a BFA program if you're looking into that, and how online training for actors has been for him and the things that acting online can teach you as an actor. So I'm very excited for you to read his interview this Sunday on the Actors Vow Instagram page at the Actors Vow. But if you want to find out about Michael before that, he has an Instagram and that's at Michael T. Valdes, at MichaelTValdes. So today I was wondering if I wanted to do this a solo episode or bring a guest. And I thought, why don't we get the best of both worlds? Because this week's guest is one of my favorite people in the world. His name is Rich Townsend, and him and I met in college. We'll talk about it during the interview, and we have acted many times together. I consider Rich, and not just because he's my friend, one of the most talented people I've ever met, both as an actor and a musician. He is able to combine those two amazingly, although lately he's been doing more music. He composes his own music. He's composed for the theater program I was in at Adelphi University. He writes, he sings, he plays harmonica, piano, and who knows, so many instruments. He has been playing in Manhattan for the past 2 years since we graduated at many venues such as Prohibition, Rum House, New York Beer Company. He always puts on amazing shows. Not right now because of the pandemic, but when this finishes, you guys need to find him if you live in New York City. The hard part about this interview was finding one topic I wanted to discuss because there's so many things that we could be talking about. But we're going to be talking about the creative process and, being in school, the things that worked, the things that didn't work, what happens, when you are on stage and things go wrong. And then we're going to be talking about more his music and what he does as a daily life in New York City and surviving in the city in Manhattan and how the life of an artist really is and how hard it is to get somewhere. I don't think he needs further introduction. Rich can tell you all about himself. So let's welcome Rich Townsend to the Actors Vow. Welcome, Rich, to the Actors Vow. I'm so happy you're here today.
Oh, man, thank you for having me. This is so nice.
Oh my God, I've been waiting for you to come to this podcast since it started. So
Shoot, dude. No, this is a lot of fun. You've had a lot of people that I love on here. And I know quite personally. It's really pretty neat. And to see what you're doing with this is a lot of fun. So
Thank you
for having me. This is really neat.
Okay, the first question I have to ask you, and that's the one I ask everybody, is what made you want to be an actor?
Shoot, man, my grandpa would show me these movies. I was probably way too young to be watching this. I was probably like 6, 7 years old, something like that. And he goes, come here, come watch Jack Nicholson with me. And that began this spiral and this plummet to my taste. Basically, I was into that 70s shit. It was so much fun, and I really loved him as a kid. It was pretty bizarre, him and Harrison Ford. So yeah, it all happens in your childhood, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's somewhere probably between Indiana Jones and the Joker or something like that from Batman. Bless Michael Keaton. Good stuff. That's somewhere in, you know what I mean? That's gotta be it. I love that guy. Miss Nicholson. Oh man, he's living it gloriously.
He's amazing.
Up by you. Yeah.
I don't know. Nicholson.
Cool
That's a good
dude.
inspiration for sure. So then you got on
Yeah.
stage when you were in high school for the first time?
Yeah, that's right. And that was actually kind of a funny situation. I didn't think I was going to get into acting
Hmm.
specifically. I wanted to do music a lot more when I was a young kid. And this director comes up to me. I'm in a chorus class. And I didn't sing at the time because I knew I wasn't singing right and I didn't want to screw anything up. I was
Hmm.
like, maybe one day I'll learn how to sing, which is crazy to think of now because
This is
I
crazy
sing
to
for a
think of
living.
now because, yeah.
Yeah, that's I work for a bloody church and I'm singing you know every Sunday now at least.
Yeah, I know
But
you
anyway,
for singing, so.
yeah, which is kind of hysterical. But yeah, he this guy anyway. I'm in a chorus class and this teacher comes up to me who was kind of moderating the kids who were being assholes, and this big Irish guy, and he sits down next to me. I'm playing the harmonica in
Mhm.
this choir class because the teacher was yeah she was chill and she was like that's pretty groovy, so why the hell not, so let's get some harmonica up in this. The kids loved it. It kind of helped like keep them focused a little bit because it was like this hysterical joke that I loved it. I loved being part of this like whack ass thing which sounded good so it was kind of funny.
Okay.
I don't know, it was great. She loved it. He loved it so much so that this guy comes over and he goes, I direct the drama club and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's something I've never really thought about doing. I didn't really have the
Mm.
guts to do shit like that. And he goes, well, why don't you come down? And I'm thinking of just having you play between scene changes and stuff like that. It's a period piece. I think it would be kind of, apropos to have
Oh, they
something like that
wanted you
going on.
for music.
Yeah, in
Mm.
between, which I was like, oh, that's a keen little idea. So yeah, they threw me in there, and I met a bunch of these wonderful, wonderful motherfuckers that they were good-hearted people. It was cool. And I was like, you know what? I'm sticking around. I'm gonna try this out. And yeah, next season they were doing something else. They were doing Bloody Les Mis. Oh
Everybody's done Les
man,
Mis.
everybody's done Les Mis.
Who hasn't done Les
Who's
Mis?
listening right now? Who's listening right now? Have you done Les Mis? I thought
Everybody's
so.
done Les Mis.
I thought so. Do you hear the people sing? I heard them. They're out there. They're still singing, which is a fucking cool thing. Anyway, enough of this communism. But dude, I love it. It's so good to see you. What am I talking about? I'm rambling.
We were talking about when you started, when you got on
Oh my
stage
god,
for the
yeah.
first time as an actor.
So then after that I did Bloody Les Mis, and then that was it. I was hooked. We were doing a bunch of other shows after
Were
that,
you
and
in
it
Les
was
Mis?
who were I? Oh, I was Kufarak, who took the watch. Because they're
Amazing.
not going to attack until it's light or something like that. That was
Yeah.
cool. That was cool. The music director for that show, he was really hip, and he was totally smoking weed before going in and playing for this Catholic school, which I
Oh,
was just like
wow.
looking back. I'm like, right on, brother, right on. That's so beautiful.
That's so
Anyway,
funny. Oh
he's
my
this
God.
wonderful, wonderful man and young guy. He would have been like our age now, and yeah, he was like, yeah, why don't you play harmonica during Bring 'Em Home? You can make everybody cry. And I'm like, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
a good idea. So many people cried. Great
Okay,
thing.
but then like you got on stage and like you liked
Oh
it so
yeah,
much.
yeah. Well, I loved it, and I stuck around. Yeah, then I went
I
to
mean, you
college
went to
for it, and
college for it,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, it drew me that much. I love that. It liberates you. That's the thing. I was so hooked on that, and I was like, man, that's interesting that you could have a profession that in certain cases, of course, not every single case. A lot of times you're under the microscope and you got to do
Mm,
exactly what you got to do.
yeah.
It's nice when there's a flow. I mean, in college we found that. I think the
Yeah.
kind of breaking down a lot of walls that were necessary to. You had Jamie Ann Devlin on here weeks ago, and that was
Hmm.
I know she was talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
It
we
gives
were
you.
talking about like physical
Oh
training,
yeah,
acting instead of a more emotional and psychological approach to it. Yeah.
totally, totally.
Hmm.
It was neat.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you because,
Yeah.
we went to college together
Mhm.
and we were in the same class from sophomore year to senior. And we've worked together and I think we work together really well, but we work in very different ways. And
Entirely. That was
I
a
think it's
shock.
so funny because like across, the US, there's so many acting schools, but I think in the end they all have a very
Mm.
similar, program.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
there's a
you
certain way
pretty
like
much
you're
have to.
supposed to learn that and you're supposed to do it that way, but in the end I think like all artists work in many different ways.
Hmm.
So I wanted to know, like, for you, like, how was school? Like what worked, what didn't?
Great question. Uh, yeah, I mean, you mentioned before, the physical thing always cuts to the quick for a lot of people because, I mean, how many of us just are so stiff and so stuck, and we have, people can pick out the our idiosyncrasies, whatever you want to call them,
Hmm.
and yeah, you could, I mean, you could bloody recreate that on stage, and that's a wonderful thing. But to be able to sometimes do that is you have to give up some of your own, and you become so. Sometimes, you'd find yourself being hyper aware some days, and you're just like, how am I doing all this? But it was
All
great.
the
It was
time.
very, yeah, it was pretty lovely at the same time. Um, I love, tech stuff is great. I suck personally with language. It's a
Yeah.
thing that blows, and I love language, but for whatever reason it doesn't like me too much.
No, but like, yeah, I mean, but for example, I remember you were very good at Shakespeare, like classic,
I
and
loved it.
yeah, and you love it, but then that's what you say. Then you have trouble learning your lines. But
At the
how does,
same
yeah.
time, well, you know uh it was just necessary. You'd have to,
Mm.
I don't know, if the duty calls, you care about these other people, so you have to learn these lines for them,
You do, you
if
do.
anything, few for the many. You have to dig deep, and no, it really, it's all of it's. I never really found, I don't do. I think that's why I formed a band years later. I do. You do it for your comrades, so to speak. You do it for the
Mm.
the guys in your unit. You know what I mean? I don't really give too much of a. I love audiences, and they're great. They're so much fun to interact with, and that's why I kept doing live stuff.
Mm.
You do it for the others. You do it for them. That's really, you want to progress. You want to learn. Yeah, you could learn these things, but why would you? Why casually would you want to do this? Yes, you
Yeah.
want to do art and all that stuff. But if you're having a hard time learning these lines and you're trying to find the gumption to do it, it's like it's not even for me at this point. It's for them. There's been
Yeah.
days like that. There's been shows like that. There's been classes like that where you're dragging your teeth through the mud trying to get down Chekhov, and you want to bleed yourself dry, but you're just like, nah, I gotta do it for Tiffany. I gotta show up and make sure that she's fucking loved, and I give my damnedest to make sure that Tiffany looks great. Because I give a
Hmm.
damn about what I give a damn about she's here to learn too, just like me, and also it's art, baby.
I mean, no, like I'm bringing this up because I have a feeling that in the academic world and in acting too, it's like, well, if you don't do this a certain way, you're not good or you're not talented. Like, you can be very talented, you can be a very talented actor and not know how to dance. Like it
Sure,
seems like if
like
you don't
me.
know how to do
I
everything.
don't know how to move at
Well,
all.
I'm bringing it as
That's
an example because you are
no
a very
great.
talented actor and you can't, like we all have our weaknesses,
Hmm.
and it just because a program doesn't work for you or like a certain style of acting, whatever, it doesn't mean you're not good.
I entirely agree. Most of my musical, early developing musical training was very much that.
Mm.
I think I play by ear better than just what the fundamental understanding of, like, I just play it by ear. Like I have a buddy that conducts and is a dear friend of mine. Is my brother Oswald, Ozzy Machado, great guy. and he learned the same way. I remember we started around the same time too. We started like 7 years old, and we call it finger painting.
Mm.
You know, it's not even playing by ear at this point. It's so you're so integrated with these instruments that you could learn the technical terms, and I yearn to learn for the technical terms. I yearn to
Mm.
understand, because I did take so much classical training and so much technical theory. So I'm not shy to any of that, and it all, I could speak the language, I could read, and so it's not like I'm an entire layman to it. Approach is everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you don't, I think if you don't like the teacher, you could be honest with them. Do not be nasty. It's what they do for a living too. Never want to be nasty.
Mm-hmm.
You want to approach them and just be like, hey, I don't know if I'm connecting with you well enough. X, Y, and Z. If that doesn't work, then of course you kindly let them go, almost like you let a therapist go. You just like, all right,
Yeah.
this has been great. Love you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. Talk
Yeah,
to
I
you.
just think it's very important to understand that like we all learn different, and I feel like
And
in
you,
acting
yeah,
school,
you
like
want to keep going.
yeah, but I feel like we idolize the teachers, and it's great, but
That does
sometimes
happen.
a
The
teacher, yeah,
mysticism.
but maybe a teacher like maybe doesn't like you, doesn't like your style, or whatever it
Neither
is,
I.
and then it makes you
Yeah,
feel like it's
understood.
you, and it's like,
Understood.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, and that happens, I think, because of circumstance or social things that are happening within the like political structure of the culture of your the political structure of the culture of your school that you go to.
Mhm.
Uh, it's bizarre. We all have our stories of shit that was just whack, and who
Mhm.
did this and what teacher was doing this, and whether or not it's even like nasty shit. Like it's just general, like,
Yeah.
damn, like they didn't realize this, so it led to this consequence and this thing, and this kid got affected, and that's shite. No one's that malicious. If you're that malicious and you're working in education, below me, because those people
Hmm.
shouldn't be teaching kids.
Most of the times it's not personal, and you shouldn't take it personally. Yeah,
Right, right,
and you
right.
can't let like your idea of your talent be dictated by that, because if
Entirely,
just because a teacher says something doesn't mean
entirely.
you should just give up acting entirely.
No. Never let it go. You can still look. Again, it's like a relationship. Things can come and things can go, and it could suck for a bit. And you could, sometimes you go back to it, sometimes you don't. But if you make amends, it's always good. You never know. You could have a whole different relationship with this person. It doesn't have to be one thing. Everything doesn't have to be in a box.
So I wanted to talk about because we've done so much together. We've done Marathad. You wrote the music
Oh,
for that,
lovely.
and that was
Yeah.
incredible. I've talked in the podcast so many times about Marathad,
Shoot.
and
Really?
yeah, if you don't know, Rich wrote the whole music for the entire show, and it was incredible.
In about a
And then
month. That was
yeah,
fun.
and then we did Peter, and we've done so
Uh
many things, and we have so many things go wrong on stage. But I really think we haven't done something as
huh.
hard as the Whip and Peter Pan.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm so glad you were thinking of that too, because
So
that's
yeah, I think we need to talk about that.
sure. We really should.
Do you want to explain what is the Whip in Peter Pan?
Yeah. I mean, of course. Let's all take a moment to think about what that. No, no. It's just that we were doing a scene where I had to be this creepy old crotch who used to own the orphanage that Peter Pan grew up in. Right. That's how that play was going. So I'm like, all right, I gotta play an absolute anus of a human being, and he's already gross, and you're trying to get the lip shit, and it's all weird, and you're talking slurry, and it's fun, and people are off put by your demeanor. It's always fun, and you kind of have to shower afterwards, especially when everyone's pretending to be kids. God damn it! So
I
that
know,
was
creepy
that was
stuff.
the hardest part of the whole thing. You're like, and the whole time the director's like, Jamie Ann's like, all right, remember, they're little kids, and I'm like,
Oh
I
no!
know. Oh God, it was just like vomit. I'm like, no, I'm gonna die. These little children. So I can't even. That was so funny. But anyway, with the whip, we had an incredible fight choreographer. You talk about Ray. You tell people
I
how
think I've
lovely that
talked
man is.
sometime, but we can talk forever about how amazing Ray is.
Shout out to Raymond Rodriguez. Congratulations to you, my brother. He's having a great year. Hopefully, God bless.
Yes.
He taught us a lot about safety and
Mm-hmm.
stage combat and how to handle weapons of old. It was of antiquity. It was really an
All
incredible
weapons. Yeah, we did all weapons with him.
time. Talk
But
about
for the
getting
show,
fucking
there was a
physical.
scene that we needed.
The
There was a
whip,
scene that we
yeah,
needed a whip,
that
and
whip.
we
He
yeah
goes, let's make that happen,
yeah because
and
we
he
don't
had
have
one.
that as a thing in class. Like we don't learn that in
No
school.
way. Whip training is not a traditional. I mean, there's training for it, but it's not one of the core disciplines. I'd
Mm-hmm.
say to become a Jedi, and uh, and that was, I mean, that was enlightening. First week, you're working with brooms that are counterweighted on top of a garbage can, and you're trying to grab that because the whole scene was dictated around her, Denise, holding out her left arm, and I was supposed to crack a whip and grab her
Around, like
Indiana
Indiana
Jones
Jones
style,
style.
yeah, and just tug her in. And I'm like, look, I wear hats as it. I'm a fedora man. I gave up on hoods and umbrellas and shit like that a long time ago. You know, they're functional below me. You know what I mean? So, uh, and plus, ask me, write this down. Ask me the Keith Richards story in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to crack it over your arm, and I had to grab you and drag you in without damaging you. That's the big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and doing it night after night
Night
after
after
night
night. Mm-hmm. Life.
perfectly.
Yep.
Getting a sound, getting it to work perfectly. And some nights you have to kind of snag the end of the whip to keep the effect of it.
So that happened one night. I
Yeah.
remember it didn't go around, and I
Yep.
just catched it in the air,
Yep.
like pretended
You
it got
caught it
around.
right there. Yeah.
And we made it
You
work
caught it
every
right in midair.
single night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
still
we did
very
every night
grateful
except that
it
one night.
happened.
I was like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were never hurt. And
No. Well,
I
there was
did a
a
lot of
time.
training. And
There was a
did I
time that
crack
I got
you?
nicked. Yeah. But it wasn't a rehearsal. It wasn't a rehearsal. It's okay. But things go wrong, and when you do stage combat, like,
Yeah.
like things go wrong like that all the time with stage combat, and you just have to.
Yeah, it does. You get hit. You get, look. Oh, were you in class at the time? I was talking with him about this. Jake, remember when he was
Yeah.
remember when he was TAing with Ray?
TA.
We were doing a small sword and not small sword. We doing a small sword?
Yeah, we
No,
did
we were
small
doing
sword.
no. We were doing rapier dagger.
Oh.
That's what that was. And he goes for this move, and you're supposed to he ducks. He's running away from you. He ducks, and you're crisscrossing it over his back, and it gives this whole effect that you're like almost chasing him, and you almost got him. But the hilt of one of the blades was some of these are a little older.
Oh no.
And it just did a clean cut right at the top of the hilt, and the blade just went at physics mercy and just it kept going at the perfect trajectory of my arm, which is incredible. But and there were no folks, and they dodged it. But I mean, he was like, holy shit. Ray was freaking out. What happened? What the fuck? It just burst.
And let's say that Ray and like every fight director is always very careful that all weapons are like perfect.
I'm talking about all the bad shit. Oh my god, we're talking about you getting
nicked.
nicked.
No. But I'm saying like even when you're very careful and aware,
things
it happens.
Just happen. Yeah. You're on your game constantly.
Okay, so I really want to hear about the Keith Richards story, but first, can you
yeah.
share a song with us?
I would love to. Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be so easy to lose a friend like mine? Sure, you've lost plenty, but they've been carving out mine. And I have something for just to remember you by. See, dual names get so confused, I may as well write down all those things I misplaced in the last hour or two. Maybe you can help me find them. I think they belong to you anyway. I think think that from the last time I think I met you, you can find happiness drowning in some swimming pool. Down in some swimming pool. Oh, my firstborn ransom above my head like rent. So sweet of you to call me. Just know you gave it all to sin. Are you quite surprised? I'm such a blind man fine. You see, say she's a bit tricky. I may as well write down all those things that I misplaced in the last hour or two. Maybe you can help me find them, 'cause I think they belong to you anyway. I think that from the last time I think I made you, you can find happiness drowning in some swimming pool. Drowning in some swimming pool.
So that's awesome. I love swimming pools. It's really like, do you want to explain where that came from?
Well, yeah, I was playing a late night gig at a place right by the UN, and that was a fun time. We befriended a lot of cops, smoked a lot of fun things, and the cops were like, "Oh no shit!" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a card for it." They're like, "Show it to me." Holy shit! Look at it! Like I was like, "Look at this is New York City." My buddy who got the gig and it was get me into this was like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool. I love these guys." I'm like, "What? This is what you do all the time?" So it was neat. I've my relationship with the police has changed. No, not at all. If anything, they still pull me over, those sons of bitches. Pray for people, but anyway, it's this was about those days, and people were, there were a couple people you meet along the way, and they tell lies about you. You know what I mean? Whether they hate your hustling or whatever you're doing, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, some people just come for you, and it's like, yeah, I didn't see this coming. I thought we were cool, And that's what that's about. That's what's doing that.
Do you base all your songs in like things that happen to you?
That's what I find brings me the most. That's just what brings in the, I'll be honest, it's when you get hit and you're real and you're learning, these songs are all about learning experiences and becoming a man and learning and doing all this silly shit. And
so what comes first, the lyrics or the music?
I'm usually sitting in a little jam. Yeah, it's there's a little diddle going on. There's a little something. I turn on the old voice recorder on the iPhone like a doofus. Like, you got to do. You fumble. You're like, oh, I got to turn it on. And I fumble through it, and I put it on, and I just try to.
Because let me say, I mean, I'm always like so impressed.
Than typically the words. No, yeah, it's the tunes and the words. I appreciate that.
I just don't know how you do it. Like I've tried to understand your mind for years, because Rich is like, he sits on a piano and then he starts playing and singing like, oh, you wrote this? No, I just came up with this.
Yeah, like if I don't capture it, they're like fumbling through my pockets, finding the fun. Like that's an integral part of the scenario here. Like if I don't capture it, like a bird, it's gone. Like I'm just like it's just a stroke, a moment of.
So you gotta record it. When it comes, you record it.
I'll lose it. I'm too free thinking. It's just it's just flowing and
yeah, but then your songs always keep changing too.
Yes. There's a lot I love rhythm changes because I'm being a pianist. There's like, you got one color you're pretty much working with. The guitarist does a lot more coloring, and I don't like keyboards, so to speak, because I really like that punch. I like feeling something happening. I like feeling physics in my hand. You know what I mean? The guitarists, anyone would say this. If you went up to like John Coltrane or like if Louis Armstrong was still around and you handed him like some little Fisher Price plastic, trumpet or saxophone, and be like, hey, play me something pretty, and they're going to be like, are you out of your mind? That's for the longest time. That's how I felt about keyboards. More recently, I've had my perspective pleasantly changed. And because we live in the future now, and things are getting pretty good, and I'm impressed. But anyway,
is it easier
that's
for you to write music if, for example, you're given the lyrics? Or is it easier for you to come up with lyrics and music?
If I'm given lyrics, I can do it. That's traditionally what I would do for the longest time. I did not think I could write lyrics. That's probably why, because these things would just happen, or would have these little thoughts, and I wouldn't think anything of it. But now that I can capture it, and I live in the 21st century, it's I'm lucky enough to be able to capture that, frankly. It's really cool. It's really cool. It's way better than carrying around like some tape deck thing or something that these mothers used to have to carry around. Bless them, because I'm sure I'm not the only motherfucker that writes like this. The mothers, I'm just in a flow,
Right.
I think, so to speak. And it's interesting. I don't know. My brain just turns on, and it's happening. And if I miss the train, it's bye.
But then but then you rewrite it again. Like that's a fair idea.
Yeah, I bring what I do have, what I can collect out of this free thought. Sometimes I get a whole bloody song done in one shot, which it does happen. I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen.
So who would you say is like your biggest influence, and how did it come to your life? Because you're saying everything sounds like very 70s. You're right. So why?
Yeah. I 60s and the early blues shit. Look, we got B.B. King, which is a surprising thing for a pianist, but I mean his cadences and his singing. Growing up in a church and playing that kind of music my whole life, he was cool to meet. But I mean, really, in the beginning, in the origins of the old piano, totally Ray Charles, actually. Ray Charles and bloody William Martin Joel. Shout out to the Long Island Beast himself, Billy Joel. And love him. You love to hate him, but you love him because at the end his music is just like, oh, why is it so good? It's just I don't know. That's like Long Island. Like, why is it? Oh, it's you filthy fish. But I love you. I grew up on Long Island.
Yeah.
I grew up in this dinky little town. It's so cute. It's called Baldwin. It's got a lot of heart. It's a good place.
Okay, so what's the Keith Richards story?
Keith Richards. Speaking of trains.
Yes, speaking of trains.
He's all right. So I take a train into the city, and I get my I wear fedoras. I mentioned this, and I love them. There's a place called Worth and Worth. It's on 57th. It's right near Tiffany's and shit like that. It's kind of in that realm. And it's this little place tucked away. It's on the 6th floor. It's not even marked when you get into the elevator. It's got an etched in little hat. Looks like it's etched in with like a knife, like some guy broke out of Shawshank. And with his last breath was like, hats. And it's weird as fuck. I love it. It's so cute. And you go inside and boom, you hit this wood. And there's this cool ass that Harry Belafonte is playing. And you're just like, oh, fuck me up. This is so banging. These people are so lovely. Very thoughtful artisans. These guys are artisans. I mean, 2 Chainz has been to this place. And he's been dazzled by the guy, Orlando Palacios, I believe. I believe that's how you say his last name. It's how it's written. I'm going phonetically. But I love, man, I've met him plenty of times. He's a sweet guy, and I'm picking up one of my hats. And he hands it to me, flips it, and he gives it to me, and he goes, Keith Richards wants you to know that's a nice fucking hat.
No.
I go, wow.
No way.
What do you what do you what do you mean?
What Keith Richards? Who are we talking about here?
You mean not him. Like who? Keithy? Who's your sister's boyfriend? What's his name? No, Keith. And I'm scared, and I'm just like, what? Are you serious? And it's a nice ass hat.
It
I
is.
look. You show up. It's the kind of place you
Yes.
show up, and you make it. You talk with them, and you make these things, and they're pulling shit out of nowhere, and you're like, this one. Let's go with this. Let's see what this looks like. And they're trying stuff, and they're like, you know what? That's a good fucking idea. Good, good, good. And I built this hat. It's gorgeous. It's like this midnight blue, and it's got this band on it. I put my pennies together for these things. Man.
That's so cool. So Keith
Love.
Richards wanted to buy your hat.
Yeah, he almost stole it. The
He
bloody
almost
guy.
stole it.
Bloody guy. He had to be stopped. Evidently, he had to be told, you can't do that. You can't do that. He goes, why not? It's gorgeous, and you have it. And he goes, no. This is for a client. A client made this. This isn't.
Well, one of these days he might appear at a concert with a very similar hat.
Man, I'm sure he was like, bitch, you got any more of that silk to put around? Yeah, just one. You know what I'm saying? Which one? You think you could do it? What do you think? That's more Mick. That's more Mick Jagger, if anything.
I really want you to tell us about your awesome group of people, because when I met you, you played solo, but now you have an amazing group. So please tell us about your group.
My boys. I love them so very, very much. Pardon me while I wet my whistle. Yeah, man. Where do I begin? Who was the first member I met? Well, about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. I was just a young son of a bitch, running around, sweating in the summertime, trying to find a motherfucking gig. And I met a guy named Brian Rips at a place that my dear brother Aiden Down was working. He was working his club. And they had these open mics on Monday nights. Meet this guy, Brian Rips. Brian Rips is introducing me to this whole world of playing, and all this. It's incredible. He just like awakens me. He's like the Jedi Master. He's like the Qui-Gon Jinn in my life, and I love him. Thankfully, Darth Maul will not take down this Qui-Gon in this timeline. But anyway, whatever. So I get him. He gets me rolling. I'm playing, and I meet this guy, Chris Range. Chris Range is my heart. Such a sweet man. He's just a bit older than I am, so it was kind of neat. And we were hanging around doing the same thing. He's from Memphis, Tennessee, and he's trying to play music in the city, and he's got a job. He's able to hold it down while he can, and he's all he wants to do is just like do cool stuff. And I'm like, awesome, let's run around. And we literally ran around looking for places in New York City to play, and we found them. And it's not like you could just roll up.
How long did it take you to like find one place?
A moment of silence, quick. That shit took a minute. That shit takes a minute. Because you gotta, man, you can't show up. Not like I did these things, but you'd have to watch and learn other people. You have to watch people fuck up. I was so blessed to go to this club that I was talking about before, because on every Monday night when I show up and I hang out with my buddy Aiden, even before I started playing there, I eventually played there at this open mic on a Monday night, which is what got me in this whole thing, meeting that guy and going there. I was able to see a lot of do's and a fuck ton of don'ts, and that was really nice. I was so special to see what never to do, what to never do on a stage. That was so cool.
Yeah,
that was really, really cool. And you learn that, of course. I went to college for being on stage, so you know etiquette.
But the real world is something different sometimes.
When you're in a club and you're playing this live music and I'm not like I didn't go to college for music. I went to college for acting, and to be like, my friend's good. Like, let's put him on the list. Like, I'm thinking just like, I'm pretty good. Now I think I'm pretty damn good.
You're amazing. You're great.
Thanks. I really. See, it takes a minute to build up the tower, and it's nice to hear that. So I really appreciate that, because I don't always, you don't always feel that. In the beginning, you're like, I don't know if this is even legit, but you feel it. You do. You get that. You're like, I'm such a pansy. But you gotta light your fire.
That's so
Get the bellows
crazy.
churning.
That's so crazy to hear from you. Like, we all have self-doubt. But like, we only see it ourselves. Like, I've known you for many years now, and I've always seen you as such a confident, always so talented person, And you're telling me, like, sometimes you have self-doubt too, and it's like, yeah, we all do, and it's normal. You just gotta push through it.
I'm an Irish kid. I have no choice but to have guilt and paranoia. I have no choice but to be. When you boil them down, that's what you get: anxiety. That's all. No, yeah, of course. I mean, and I think some of the strongest of us are sometimes the most anxious, and sometimes it's staring into the void, staring into the face of death, and that does something for you, which is strange. I don't know. What a phenomenon. It's something that almost not that it jades you. Nothing should, you really want to try to never be jaded, because A, that's so boring in a party, and B, I that woe is me kind of nonsense, self-deprecation, I guess. You want to take it easy on that. You want to use that, once a week, and then that's when you put it away, and it's been 7 days. Yeah, I bet I could bench it to like 10 days. So I'm self-deprecating again. Help yourselves, kids. Call somebody. You need.
Yeah, you definitely need someone to.
I'm out here. I love you, Chester, Lawrence, Pete, Steve. Dickie loves you. Anyway, I just want you to know, they're all men, but I guess I'm talking to men because I'm speaking from a male perspective. I mean, it's just, I don't.
No, but for sure. Like, I feel like, I mean, not that women, like, we're not like, but I feel like men, you're not allowed to have as many of those feelings, like society-wise.
Yeah, that's totally a new thing.
So for sure, like, yeah, of course you're talking for a man. Like, it seems like it's not normal for men to like feel, not sure of themselves. Or
I really look forward to seeing what the kids of our the next generations are gonna be like if that seeps, if that Reaganizes and trickles down. I would love to see what it does to their minds. I would love that might be beautiful. Growing up a conservative kid, you wouldn't necessarily, if you knew me then, you wouldn't think that. But I mean, it's
but it's so necessary as an artist, generally.
Oh my God, as a human being, because to be human is to you make art. Most people make art in some way. They do something, even if you're stuck. People doodle. They do things. They find and they go, shit. I do that. I do. It's those little things. That's what keeps your flame going, dude. That's what keeps. It's that little magic. I mean, look, I'm thinking I can't write lyrics. I can't do that. I can't. That's not. I need lyrics for. I'm like Elton John. Elton John's like that, and I always loved him. Oh, Elton John. Oh.
I'm surprised we still haven't talked about Elton John.
Hang on. What?
The whole time I was like, "Where's Elton John here?"
Hold up, wait. I gotta make some sound for Elton. Yo, what up?
I knew it was coming.
Settle down. It's Elton John, everybody. Wow. I mean, dude, Elton John is a special person in my life. I'm very straight. That guy was just like, yep. The whole time. But I mean, granted, all his lyrics were written by a straight man too. I think. I'm pretty sure Bernie Taupin was.
Yes.
Right? Am I correct? Okay.
Yes.
I only saw the movie once, and we were in a status, but I am due to see it again because I got kind of like, misty at moments because he speaks to me. And if you judge me, I'd be very disheartened in your choice. Not to you. I know you wouldn't judge me.
I would never.
To anybody listening.
So who else is in your band?
Oh my gosh. So there's Christopher Range, who plays the alto sax, and Jonathan Aarons, who is a god. Oh, he's a god. He's nearly won America's Got Talent. He was beat out by these like little Osmond style like kids. It was so bizarre. It was like the Osmond family. I was like, oh, there goes America's Got Talent again. And they had him in these outfits, and they had. You could look him up. He's talented as fuck. It's actually genius. He's a genius.
What's his name again?
Jonathan Aarons.
Okay.
Jonathan Aarons. He works hard at his craft. He's a diehard musician and a creative, and the guy has more knowledge, and he's blessed, and he's another guy that I vibe with so hard because you know he feels, and it's just so much in his soul, and he's such a beautiful man, and he fills me with so much inspiration sometimes. Actually, he's a really good friend, and as beautiful as he is on the inside, I find that his talent, all these guys, man, it's getting me like sweet, you know what I mean? Oh, Chris Range, she plays the sweet. That's his job though, on the saxophone. So it's Chris Range, John Aarons on the trombone, making me cry, and he's dancing like a motherfucker. And then we also had the privilege to work with a young lady named Lindsay Daniels, and God damn, she was talented. She would do these. If you ever listen to the song "The Grunt" by the JBs. They were James Brown's band, the JBs, the Grunt. There's this opening sound like, wah!
Yeah.
It's right in the beginning. It's this saxophone. And you'd be like, what the fuck? She would do that like warming up. She didn't give a fuck. She was an animal. And I met her at a gig I met her at this gig that I was trying to get fancy with the lead singer of this group. And as it were, in whatever sense you want to take it, trying to get fancy, you know what I mean? And she was a friend. She was a good kid, and he still, and but that swiftly changed once I heard Miss Lindsay, because I was just like, my love, I would like to offer you a place on in the dark side. Join us of the dark side of the force, and all will be well, all will be great. Everyone gets capes. It's fun. And she was like laughing, and she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Dude, I run a blues band that I'm trying to put together, and it's, at the time I had just the drummer, the bass every once in a while. Bass player is Valerio Celentano, and man, this incredible. So I work with the best in New York City.
Okay, so that's hard too. Like, it's very hard to find a group, of like-minded artists in any field you're working at.
And they're all so different in background, but their vision, I take time to really get to know them. And a lot of them, we've been hired guns, and we've worked together in platoons, so to speak, and you're working under other guys, under other people. And you're doing these circuits together, and you're spending days and days together just catching each other. It's Tuesday, boom, you go home, boom, Wednesday, you're playing with your buddy again at this other place because he called you up. He's like, I want some of this, I want some keys, cool. And you're like, yo, Valerio, you're here too? He's like, hey, what up, man? What's going on? I'm like, oh, dude, hugging. He's this incredible Italian man. He's got this beautiful, when he speaks Italian.
The Italian.
It does get spicy.
Oh, I bet.
No, he plays bass like a king. I mean, the guy's yeah. He's never been. He's just infallible at moments. He holds, because the bass, you're supposed to be like God's foot. You know what I'm saying? You're keeping the bass, you're keeping everything, you're keeping the rhythms, and you're also aiding the harmonic value of the whole situation. So
yeah.
And then so there's him, drummer T-Bone Mata. Truly, this man is so. They're all good, right? He's Public Enemy. That's their live drummer. That's their dude, and he is a monster. The guy is a monster. You're in the first song. You're in the first quote, call a couple bars of the song, and the man is already sweating, and he's a young man. He's just working. You're just so like, look at him. Look, there goes Michelangelo. There he goes. He's painting the fucking Sistine Chapel left-handed. How the fuck is he doing that right now? I'm scared. I'm scared. That's him. And his father was Dennis Davis, who is David Bowie's drummer.
Oh.
And if I'm not mistaken, helped put together a bunch of his percussion team, David Bowie's percussion team, and
That's
his,
amazing.
and he was, the father was doing this in the service back in I think the early 50s, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm remembering T-Bone's info right, but I mean, T-Bone's just such a sweet guy, and he vetted me for a while, which is so funny. I meet him at this place called the Whalen, and it's this little bar on 10th Street, Irish guys with a Packers bar theme called the Whalen, named after Waylon Jennings. So Irish guys owning a country bar with a bunch of Packers shit going. Have I lost you? Like, have I lost? Like, that doesn't make you right. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. T-Bone lives not far from there, so he'd frequent that place a lot. And they wanted to try live music, and they wanted some country music. And at the time, I was a hired gun on a group with a gentleman named Brent Stover, who was working for CBS. Yeah, that's CBS, not CVS, the pharmacy, the broadcasting company.
Yeah.
That's the one. He sorry about that, I got a little mumbly. He would do sports casting, and by night he was a country singer, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And you know what, he wrote some songs that made me laugh, and I liked it. I liked his music.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
you like the country music.
There were moments that I was just like, I really like this. But then there were other moments where I'm just like, you could say that. I don't know if I'd say that, but you're not gonna get. Okay, not my vision, not my. It's just and I was finding that you always find that you're working with a group and you're like, this isn't my music, so
right.
I'm only supposed to like it as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm having fun with it. I was bringing a lot of life to it. And he was learning. He was learning his guitar at the time. He has a great voice. He has a great voice. I think he's a lot more capable than he allots himself to be at moments. I would love to reconnect with his ass. That'd be so fun, because I think he could really he could do with a gas pedal from time to time, because that's what I would do in his band. He'd be nice and hanging out. Everything's country, and I've got you and me, and it's been hard, so long, so hard. And I'm just like, all right, I can't.
I see.
This is like Hank Williams
turning into Oklahoma here
kind of thing, and I'm just like, all right, can we just like, just blues it up a little bit, just like play a little bit of something, just like hit it a little bit. So I don't know. That's just me.
Right. So what happened with your drummer?
Oh, drummer. So he walks in. We're in this bar. Thank you for keeping me on track. Let me see. I'm playing. All of a sudden, all right, we're gonna take like 10, 15. Let's chill. Who gives a fuck that they're taking 10, 15? Nobody at this place. It was fun. Didn't matter. You just say it because it's courteous. You just give it all. Give it your all, son. It's just like that. I don't know. And I'm sitting at the piano because it's a tiny place. And next thing you know, they're talking, they're over at the bar. And this guy comes over, this man, this creature out of Thor, like it's Odin's nephew or something like that. And he's showing up, and it's this man, shades, black fedora, black coat. Guy's not like a creepy, like, got something under my coat kind of coat, like a cool black coat. Guy look neat.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I just remember this image, and he sits down. He goes, "Hey, what's happening?" I go, "Oh, what's going on?" He sat down he's playing a cajon, those seated box drums. And I'm like, "You gonna play with us?" He's like, "Yeah, I fully intend." They said hop on. I'm like, "Oh shoot, you play? Very cool." I didn't want to. He's like, "I know. A lot of people just hop up on your shit."
Right.
And they start. diddling and fucking around. I'm like, yeah, you can't do that.
Mm-mm.
And
Get out.
he goes, I'm the only black guy on this wall. You know that? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, look around. In a place like the Whalen, you think you're gonna see many black artists on the wall? And I'm like, you're right. And I'm like, fuck that. And he's like, uh-huh. And I'm like, is that you? And right above, there was always this picture. I'd see it because it was this little picture right above where we play. It was fucking T-Bone in the picture above where we play week to week to week to. And I'm like, no, you T-Bone, have you been here this whole time?
And he
Yeah,
had.
I haven't seen you play. He's like, I know, but that's so funny. So he'd vet me for a few weeks. We hang out. We did a couple of things. I had told him I was starting up a group, and this was in the very infancy.
Okay. Before we go, I have 3 short questions for you.
Hit me,
very
baby.
easy. Focus. Answer. Top 3 actors.
Top 3 actors. Oh, Nicholson.
Okay.
That's my boy. I wouldn't call him the best actor ever, but I love him. Who else? Who else moves me? Yeah.
Could be actresses too.
Yeah, that's where I'm over now. That's what I'm talking about.
So it's only Jack Nicholson?
No, I'm just like, I hate questions like that. Can I name a bunch of people? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna name a bunch of people that are gonna like surprise you. I think Cher. I think Cher, because she's really strong for having to put up with Nicolas Cage, even though I love Nicolas Cage. But I mean, like, are you kidding me? How strong is she? And also, what else we got?
One more actor. You got this.
One more actor. Oh, I actually love Secret Love. I love that guy, Sacha Baron Cohen. Okay, wait.
No,
wait.
he's a genius.
I used to hate Borat. I used to be like, no, it's not good. There's no way it's good. There's no way. And I watched it now because I'm a grown man and I could form and I'm not some bitch teenager who needed to just, I don't know.
When I came to America, I watched Borat and I did not understand. I was like, what the hell is this?
Babe, you were like 2 weeks on Hooked on Phonics. How were you? You approached Borat? You're brave. You're brave. I love that you threw yourself into our fucked culture. You threw yourself. You were just like, I don't need that. I don't need this like parachute. Get it off. I'm just jumping in. I'm like, fuck.
At that moment, I truly considered what I was doing in America. I was like, what the hell is happening?
So badass. I mean,
but now I rewatched it recently, and yes. Okay, so
you had more
you
questions.
hate these questions. 3 movies.
Oh, good. That's a little easier.
Okay.
Star Wars.
Of course, we'll just put the whole thing there.
Yeah, I'm not a freak. I'm not like I'm wearing the underwear right now and it's like tattooed on my gooch or something. Like we're not in pain. I don't need help.
No, but you do own lightsabers, so let's say
I do,
here.
and we could fight with them. We're trained to fight in broadsword, longsword technique, and
Rich
I think
and I have
that's
a
hot.
lightsaber duel.
I think that's a lovely thing. Come down. Let's
it's happening. It's definitely happening.
Yeah. Don't come down or anything because things aren't safe, but go get some, I don't know, go get a lightsaber and have a good time and be safe. No furniture because you'd be surprised how clumsy you are.
No, and those things are big. They are big. The lightsaber, it's very long. For a short person like me, very long.
Yeah, they're at least 4 feet, right? The whole tip to tip.
No, yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so Star Wars, first movie. What's the second one?
Okay, yeah, that's a great one. One of my favorite movies, actually, I like movies about musicians a lot of times.
Okay.
Ray comes to mind, the Jamie Foxx movie.
I've never watched that.
Babe, that's a good one.
Okay.
I remember when I was a kid when that came out. That was 2004. I was in 4th grade. I watched that with my dad, and I was totally, watching the scenes about him fucking and getting blackout drunk and doing crazy. Ray Charles is,
it's musicians
challenged
those times,
guy. He's a challenged guy. The guy was living, and he had enough to deal with, and it was a beautiful story. And I think he was an incredible, very visionary man. He did a lot of stuff for Black music, and I think that's like crazy. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool to learn about, and hey, I talk about Ray Charles a lot actually with T-Bone, because when T-Bone was a little kid, story he told me one day driving him back home, and he goes, when I was a kid, me and my brother, yeah, we were in the choir for Ray Charles. And I go, you were in the choir? Wait, pass me the spliff.
Like,
let me see.
Ray Charles?
It's time for me to hit this. Hold on, wait a minute. You were working with Ray Charles. How old are you? He was like, I was like 8, 9, 10, 11.
Wow.
I worked for him for a few years, right up until my voice started changing. Was pretty much when I'm like, that's crazy. He's like, yeah, I knew him well. I'm just so blown up. I mean, when your father's, buds with, David Bowie, you're gonna run into every killer out there, and it's.
Yeah.
I think it's just incredible. I mean, I love Ray Charles. Him and Billy Joel. Like I was saying, when I saw that movie, that was around. It was 4th grade, so that's like developing time. I'm playing a piano a little bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, so mess around, that's.
And what's the third movie?
Third movie.
You got this.
Oh, dude. Batman 89.
Okay.
Yeah. Y'all thought I was gonna say that bitch ass movie Dark Knight or Wolf of Wall Street, like some.
Come on, Dark Knight.
No, I'm only
great
kidding.
Movie.
I'm being completely facetious. I love those movies so passionately. Well, maybe not like Wolf of Wall Street, but I love fucking Dark Knight.
No, I'm not about that one either.
Yeah, that one's all right. Hey, someone's got it on. It's like, oh, you watch Wolf of Wall Street.
Definitely gives me anxiety. That movie gives me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question. I need you to give us who you think is the best, most underrated artist or band.
Oh, wow.
You have so many of those. You've always given me like this weird artist that I've never heard of.
Yeah, underrated musician-wise.
Yeah, I'm not really well known,
Yeah, I got
one. Think they should have more credit.
Yeah, if you really want to talk to me about piano one day, if you want to sit down, you and me, listener, and we're going to talk about music and piano playing and shit like that, and get intimate about, what the keys mean to me, and to you. I would tell you about the Maharaja himself, a guy who has been dead for almost 40 years, probably going nearly 40. His name's James Booker. He died too young. He was an incredible piano player. You could look him up on Spotify. You could look him up on YouTube. He's the guy, if you know who Harry Connick Jr. is, he helped teach him how to play the piano, because Senior owned the he was the mayor of a town down in the New Orleans area.
Okay.
And there was a strip that Senior used to frequent that James Booker would play at, and they became fast friends. And during tough times in James Booker's life, they actually offered him a place to stay, and he stayed there for a while. And that's you could hear a lot about it, through Harry Connick Jr. I think there's a couple of videos of some shit some people have sent me, because they're like, oh, have you ever seen this? You showed me that guy that plays the piano. This guy had hands. If you know anything about playing like an octave, that's 8 notes on a piano. That's, that's a full thing. This guy's doing 11ths. It's 11 as opposed to 8 notes, casually, with his hand span, with no real like strain. That's crazy. Guy was training Rachmaninoff while he was still in the single digits. I mean, nuns were teaching this kid in the 50s, so it was crazy. But man, I could pop him on.
That's amazing. What's his name again?
James Booker.
Mm.
The half-blind king from New Orleans. He's got such a sound.
Awesome. I never heard of him. You never told me about him.
Oh, okay. Please do yourself a favor.
Definitely look him up too. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, he's got a lot of energy. The Lost Paramount tapes. They're the great ones. It's a great album.
Okay, I'll look it up. So where can people find you?
Oh man. Well, right now we're working a modest business over here because I don't know, just as soon as you try to get a couple things in order, things go a little on ice, but that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a little, if you want some proof that a band exists called Rich Townsend and the Night Train. We exist on Instagram, believe it or not, of that same name, Rich Townsend and the Night Train. That's one word because we're kitschy like that. Night Train, if you want to be more specific. I don't know why you call it that, but it's a whole use on the T. The T's in the middle. Come on, everybody.
Okay.
I don't get it. But we're out there. And then there's one video on YouTube.
Okay.
A brother of mine took, and it's
soon to be many more videos.
Dude, that's what we need. I just can't get to my fellas, and it blows,
So it's getting like super late. I don't know what time it's in New York, but here it's 8 p.m.
Oh my God, 8 p.m.? It's nearly 11 o'clock.
What? Go to sleep. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, my love. Anytime. This was very groovy. I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging with me.
Thank you,
cool.
Rich.
So cool to hang. So cool to be on your show, kid.
Anytime.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. It's always great to hang out with Rich. I love all the suggestions he gave for music and for movies. And it's just so much fun, to just have a chill time talking about life as artists. I hope you guys could relate to some of his stories or the things we talked about. And thank you, Rich, again for coming to the podcast. It was so much fun. Before we end this episode this week, let's bring the play of the week. This week's play is No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre. I don't know if I've ever talked about this in the podcast, but in college I studied acting and philosophy. I've always loved philosophy. And I discovered Jean-Paul Sartre back in high school, and I discovered him through his plays. Although he might be more famous for his philosophy books, and you might have heard his name. He's a big existentialist philosopher. But he wrote plays, and one of his most famous plays is called No Exit. It's a very interesting play if you're into theater that makes, social, moral, philosophical statements. This is the kind of thing for you. I would not use this specifically for an audition, but it is something you can use for classwork, for scene work. This is something that's very interesting also to use for directing. So even if you don't want to use it for anything, just have it and read it. I think it's something every actor should read. It's a very specific style of playwriting. It's a very specific style of theater. So the play is No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Another year, another episode in The Actor's Vow. This year is going to be full of exciting things, incredible guests. Some of them I just cannot wait to tell you, and you're going to be so excited when you hear their names, but I cannot talk about it yet. So we're just gonna have to wait, relax, be patient. But I promise you, this year is coming with incredible things. As always, remember to follow The Actor's Vow on social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember that the guest interviews are with video on YouTube, which is always fun. I am so grateful for you. I hope you have an incredible rest of your week, and I will see you next Wednesday.